Authorities in Indonesia continue to dig in the rubble of collapsed buildings and mud from landslides for more victims a day after a strong earthquake shook Sumatra Island, killing 8 people, injuring 86, and leaving thousands displaced. Key points: the earthquake was centered about 12 kilometers below the Earth's surface. The earthquake was centered about 12 kilometers below the Earth's surface. More than 5,000 people fled their homes to temporary shelters. More than 5,000 people fled their homes to temporary shelters. People in neighboring Malaysia and Singapore felt the tremors. The magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck about 66 kilometers northwest of Bukittinggi, a hilly town in West Sumatra province, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. It was centered about 12 kilometers below the Earth's surface, and people in neighboring Malaysia and Singapore also felt the tremors. At least 5 people, including 2 children, were killed in Payaman district and 3 people died in the neighboring district of West Payaman. Survivors took refuge in temporary shelters in Payaman Barat, West Sumatra. AP, Ada Fernando. Rescuers were still searching for 6 villagers believed to be buried under tons of mud that tumbled down from the surrounding hills triggered by the quake. At least 435 houses and buildings were damaged and more than 5,000 people fled their homes to temporary shelters, mostly in devastated areas of Payaman and West Payaman districts, the closest areas to the epicenter, agency spokesperson Abdul Muhari said in a statement. "We are still focusing on search and rescue efforts for the victims," Mr. Muhari said. Authorities were still investigating the full extent of the damage. The quake destroyed everything. Around 410 houses and buildings were damaged. AP, Ada Fernando. People ran from their houses looking for safer places when the earthquake struck, said Ahmed Nur, a resident of Talamar village in West Payaman district. He said he was preparing to open his shop in a nearby market and returned home to check on his family. His house was damaged and his wife was in pain because her leg had been hit by debris, he said. "Thank God, my wife and our 2 kids managed to escape when the walls started to tumble," Mr. Nur said. "The quake destroyed everything in my house, but I'm grateful that my wife and children are safe, with only minor injuries." He said he and other survivors set up makeshift tents near the government office and were awaiting relief from the government or volunteers. Authorities were still investigating the full extent of the damage. AP, Suryo Wibowo. Dwikarita Karnawati, head of the Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysical Agency, said there was no danger of a tsunami, but warned of possible aftershocks. Television reports showed panicked people rushing into the streets in Padang, the capital of West Sumatra province, and patients in a hospital in West Payaman being evacuated from the building. The reports also showed streams filled with mud from landslides triggered by the earthquake, and a mosque, a school and several houses that were flattened. Debris litters the interior of a badly damaged mosque in West Payaman district, West Sumatra. AP, Ada Fernando. A video on social media showed residents gathering in the streets after high-rise buildings in Kuala Lumpur swayed for a few seconds. Witnesses said their doors and chairs shook and photos and paintings swayed on the walls. Indonesia, a vast archipelago of more than 270 million people, is frequently struck by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions and tsunamis because of its location on the Ring of Fire, an arc of volcanoes and fault lines in the Pacific Basin. In January 2021, a magnitude 6.2 earthquake killed at least 105 people and injured nearly 6,500 in West Sulawesi province. A powerful Indian Ocean quake and tsunami in 2004 killed nearly 230,000 people in a dozen countries, most of them in Indonesia. AP